I've been off of social media for a bit now, and I actually redid my entire altar because of it. Just felt like it was the right time to do so, and I think it looks really nice. So I have oracle cards, two sets of tarot, a bunch of books. This is an incense for cones, some crystals, my personal spell book. This is a book entirely on herbology or herbalism. This is my family's ancestral book, my daily self-care affirmation cards, the books I'm reading currently, mirror, Hecate with the crown, my favorite perfume from Victoria's Secret at the moment, a poppet, an offering going for Aphrodite at the moment, an offering bowl full of water, my brush, some incense. It's gorgeous. I love it.
I was a generational Satanist, what they call a generational Satanist, and what that means is that my family was involved in it and their family before them. Now, my earliest rememberings of Halloween and some of the things that were involved it was a very dark time for me as a child.
Glenn, could you tell us about your involvement in any rituals at Halloween as a child?
There was another little girl that was involved in the occult with me, and her name was Becky. Now, Becky was a different type of child. She was blessed to be a sacrifice. I was being blessed to be a high priest, where she was being blessed and born into the coven there to be a sacrifice. Now, we were in a ritual where we were married together. It was a marriage to the beast. There was a lot of sexual abuse that took place and a lot of blood that was spilt over us, joining us together. The ritual that I remember the most clearly began about the end of September. Me and the little girl, the one I mentioned named Becky, the abuse was very concentrated at that time. We were taken into several rooms where our clothing was removed. We spent the next couple of weeks in a kind of a shack where a lot of rituals went on, where a lot of animals were killed. They summoned Lucifer and his spirit to come and possess me, and so that I would be blessed to take over the position of the high priest at a certain point in time. Now, Halloween night, they had again put me and the little girl in the back of this van. I could hear a lot of commotion that was going on outside. People that were screaming and yelling and this low murmuring and moaning noise that was going on, like some kind of a low chanting noise that was going on. So I knew in my mind there was some type of a ritual going on because I'd heard that many times before. You know, it was real common to see people fall on the ground and convulse and go into convulsions during rituals and stuff with the demonic presence that were around. Some were dressed in dark brownish kind of robes with hoods over them. They took me up and they led me up to this stone altar. I noticed that they had slit the bottoms of her feet and her wrists, and they were taking the blood that was running out of those areas and putting them into chalices and passing those cups around to different people who were partaking of her blood. Then the high priest, he took the athami, or the ritual knife, and he picked it up and he put my hand on it, and then he forced it into her chest.
אבל יסתך מגזר וברכה והצלחה שתפלא ותושיע בכל העניינים בזמן שישראל לאחרונה נתפסו כמה עניינים מה שרואה עוד וגם משהו שעדיין משאיר ליבו אז הייתה משהו עם מה ידיעתו.
ועושים.
הכנראה שהיא מספיק, כאילו שהיום כבר כמה שעות בגיל עדיין ליבו, אבל יש עוד כמה שעות, אבל יש להשתדל גם היום, בצורה טובה. זה שמחה וטוב לראות. כדי שחסידים מקפידים שכל מנהיגים את השמחה. בשורות טובות, הצלחה רבה.
There are children all over the world who are losing their lives during Halloween night, and yet we, as a society, we go out and celebrate it. We go door to door and we ask for candy, and it's a big celebration to us. And I think it's quite ironic how one group of people are thinking it's fun and another group of people are taking human life, and yet they don't, there seems to be this wall and nobody wants to face the facts of what's really going on. Whenever Halloween time starts coming around, at the 1st of October, you go into the stores, you see the costumes, you see the mother with her little girl putting the witch's hat on her, and the little boy getting excited about getting the devil mask. You see the candy, you see the Halloween pumpkins, you see people decorating their houses with skeletons and all these symbols of death. It only serves to bring back horrifying memories to me, all in the name of Satan.
In every developing nation, you have the same pattern. You have a handful of people who control everything.
The oligarchy
And
that
the
controls
oligarchies
and developing.
everywhere,
All right, I
and
gotta
everyone.
move on. You gotta
All
let me move on.
Well, what you've got, let me just make it clear. The people who are going to lose here in the developed countries are not people like me or you. They're going to be the people who lose their jobs out there. It is the poor in the rich countries who are going to be subsidizing the rich in the poor countries. when you manufacture something, anything, this table,
Right.
you have a value added. The value added is when you take the raw materials and you manufacture a product. The value you add is known as value added. And that is shared between capital and labor. And the whole division, the sharing of that, has been the subject of massive debates for generations. How much should go to capital? How much should go to labor? You've had strikes, you've had lockouts, you've had political debates. All of a sudden, by creating a global marketplace for labor, but by creating circumstances where people are making the same product with the same technology and the same capital, and the only variant is cost of labor, you are shattering the way you share the value added. And that means that you are destroying the basis on which we've been able to create an equilibrium and have a stable society. When I was a boy, we were taught that irreversibly we were moving towards progress.
Yes.
That material wealth, material prosperity would solve our problems, would improve our way of life, and improve our civilization. We were taught that. And we achieved the creation of material prosperity in a way which we would never have dreamt of. We made the economy grow 400%, incredibly. And what have we done? We've destabilized our society. We've increased unemployment massively. We've totally destabilized our cities. We've uprooted our countryside. We've increased crime. Every single valid criterion for a stable society has become negative. Therefore, something must be wrong. And what has become wrong is that instead of the economy being there to serve us, we are there, adoring, serving economic industries.
Right.
This is the establishment against the rest of society. What is happening in France today, for instance, 30% of the population is for GATT, 70% against it. But who are the 70%? They're the ordinary people. Who are the 30%? They're basically big business, whose dream, and I've been in big business, and I'm for business, as long as it doesn't devour society, as long as it doesn't totally destroy things. So I'm for profits, for free markets, and I'm a capitalist, and I'm perfectly proud of having been successful. But let me make it clear that we have a conflict of interest, and what is happening is that big business loves the idea of total access to unlimited giveaway labor, which is what it's going to have. Everything is based in our modern society on improving an economic index. How do we get greater economic growth? How do we grow GNP? And the result is we are destroying the stability of our societies because we are worshipping the wrong God, economic index.
I can't say, go ahead and have Halloween fun. It doesn't matter if you're participating in Halloween, even if you're not a Satanist, if it's just for fun. No, because these Satanists are using this as a smokescreen.
вот произошло великое землетрясение, и солнце стало мрачно, как власеница, и луна сделалась, как кровь, и звезды небесные пали на землю, как смоковница, потрясаемая сильным ветром, роняя незрелые смоковы свои, и небо скрылось, свившись, как свиток, и всякая гора и остров двинулись с мест своих.
Whether the public chooses to believe in the frightening growth of Satanism or not, the fact is that a highly organized network of Satanists are operating in America and Europe today. They seem to be respectable members of society and are integrated into all professions and walks of life.
better world also means a healthier world. And vaccination is our best chance to do this. Vaccines have saved millions of lives in the past 50 years. But right now, millions of children are still at risk. They need vaccines. So we must continue to support vaccination around the world. And today, I am pleased to pledge $290 million for Gavi, the Vaccine Alliance. Each child should be protected. And more will come. Together with Gavi, we have the goal to vaccinate 500 million children by 2030. Europe will do its fair share. You can count on us, my friends.